sports writers being asked to clean up a dirty program.
Watch the language.
Today, does Mark Sanchez tank it? Is Florida dirty? Ocho going to go over the middle on Ray Lewis again? And is Paul Konerko the manliest man ever?
Bloody that.
We'll see. Let's do this.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reality.
That's right. Welcome back to the show with the Atari joysticks and the mute button. Sorry, Woody Paige. Our national panel in Los Angeles, J.A. Adande.
What's up, Tony?
Bill Plashe of the L.A. Times.
Tony, my man.
Woody Paige at the Denver Post.
I love the weekend.
And in Chicago, Grammy-nominated recording artist Moby.
Again with this?
Yeah, how you doing? You look like Moby. I mean, that's why we say we kid because you look like Moby.
No, we kidding because he's bald.
Okay.
Who's Moby?
Let's go to work.
It's the first word.
Patriots-Jets Sunday, and we start with the words of an expatriate, Teddy Bruschi, on NFL Live saying Mark Sanchez tanks it when things go bad. Rex's response, I respect you, Teddy, but disagree, and you wouldn't think that if you saw Sanchez at practice. That's interesting, because thanks to Hard Knocks, we've seen Sanchez a bit at practice. We also saw him last week in a particularly brutal game. I'm going to ask you, Adande, what do you think of the tank it tag?
I think that's saying a bit too much, is taking it too far. We also seen his coaches trying to urge him to become a better leader, trying to teach him how to show leadership. He's still learning on the job. It's his second year in the league. It's really on his third year being the top guy, the main man, a quarterback on a high-profile team. So he's still learning as he goes. Maybe he doesn't show it. Maybe he doesn't always display it. But I can't think you can say that he just goes away when things go bad. He's a guy who's won more games than he's lost in the NFL, and he's won playoff games. So I think he's a guy who's growing on the job. He's not a guy who's inclined to disappear when things get tough.
So you say no to the tank it tag. How about you, Plashe?
Jay, why do you think his coaches urge him to be tougher? Because Bruschi's right. Now, the tanking, that's the wrong word there. Well, basically, Mark Sanchez disappears in tough situations. I've seen it before. I've covered the kid at USC. His only full season there in 2008. They went up to Oregon State early in the year. You all saw this on a Thursday night. They were down 21-0. He disappeared. They lost the game, lost the national championship. And again, for the Jets, you saw it on Monday night. They're almost like they're playing a prevent offense. The coaches don't trust him with the ball in a comeback situation. He had a 56 passer rating in that game. Again, he needs to step up and be tougher in tough situations.
Okay.
He hasn't done it yet. Bruschi's right.
Paige, what do you think?
No, tanks for nothing, Bill. You're talking about a guy that came in as a rookie, an underclassman out of USC, really inexperienced, went out, had 10 exceptional games, won 7, 8 games on the road last year. I don't think that's a guy that lays down and quits. On Monday night, he didn't have his #1 receiver in Santonio Holmes. They didn't really have much out of Green, who fumbled twice and dropped a pass. LaDainian played well, but you got to look at the offense. This team is geared to stop people with the defense, not make mistakes. And last year, people talk about his interceptions. He had 3 miserable games and threw 12 interceptions, but in the rest of the games, he played extremely well for a rookie, and you're going to have ups and downs. I think that's unfair.
You know, Tony, you said it right. An expatriate said this, not an ex-Jet. Not a Jet coach said this publicly. Until I hear it from them, I'm not believing it. I'm going to stick with our man Sanchez. Look, he is a second-year player, like J.A. said. He's still learning the position. He's learning how to be a leader. That just doesn't happen overnight. You got to give him a little time. Plus, Mark Sanchez, I remember at USC, won 12 games there. That 12-1 season. Well, lost a big one. He won 12 games. And look, the Baltimore Ravens can make a lot of quarterbacks look bad. Inexperienced ones and experienced ones. Yeah, the Ravens made him look bad this past Monday night. It doesn't mean that
you think they're reading too much into just one game this
Way
season.
too harsh of a word. Way too harsh.
Gene, you say we haven't heard this from the Jets coaches. We have on Hard Knocks. They said it to him on Hard Knocks. Last year, 12 touchdown passes, 20 interceptions. Again, this guy, he hasn't grown up yet. And if he doesn't play better, they will not go to the Super Bowl.
Okay, will he play better this week? Who you got in this game, Patriots or Jets, Adande?
I like the Patriots.
Plashe?
I've got the Patriots, absolutely.
Paige?
Yeah.
I think Sanchez plays extremely well, and they lose to the Patriots.
Gene?
I think he plays better, but Revis Island is dinged up. They lose.
So everybody's got the Patriots?
You guys, unbelievable.
Something that could have been brought to my attention earlier. Let's move on. College. Florida, Tennessee tomorrow. Remember when that was something? Gators haven't looked great. Vols let up 48 last week. 48's a big number. Not as big as 30. Number of arrests for the Gators in Urban's 6 seasons, and that's what he was addressing in the lead up to this game. Quote, dirty program. It's not a dirty program. We follow the rules, and some guys make mistakes, and we've got to correct those mistakes. End quote. I'll ask you, Plashe, would you label Florida a dirty program?
You know, Tony, dirty is as dirty does. He has only two fewer arrests than SEC victories during his time there. The team is so undisciplined off the field that this has to be considered part of the program. That's who players they're representing Florida in all walks of life and where they're going. And you got to tell me, when they're bringing these kids in here, they have to know that these kids, they have to get better citizens as part of the team. You have to know that when they're recruiting these kids, they have to know they're bringing in marginal kids. You have to stop doing that. And Urban has to be tougher on these kids because, again, you can't say all these arrests, you can't say it's a clean program when kids are going out doing these kind of bad things. It just doesn't work that way.
Wojheki?
Well, it's nice to hear that Urban Meyer's figured enough is enough after 30 arrests, but I disagree with Bill on this one. A dirty program is a program that cheats to win. Florida has made mistakes, but they're not NCAA violation kind of mistakes.
But they're
I think they're mistakes of character analysis. Their coaches aren't doing a good enough job during the recruiting. Yeah, they're getting great players, but they're not getting great character players, and that's what's coming back to haunt them right now. But a dirty program, it's like the Teddy Bruschi thing. It's just not the right word to describe this program.
Okay, Andea, you?
I'm sorry, Gino, but I'd rather have a program where players are getting money or even academic issues
would?
rather than people breaking the law, in particular threatening ex-girlfriends or driving while
point as well.
intoxicated. Those put people in jeopardy. Nobody got hurt if Reggie Bush took some cash from an agent hoping he started a marketing firm. Who exactly did that damage? Who was threatened by that? So I'd rather have USC's problems, which did include some arrests, but people are making a bigger deal. The NCAA has made a bigger deal of their infractions, and I'm more concerned and bothered by the 30 arrests of Florida. That means their championships are tainted too.
Who was hurt, J.A.? The entire program was hurt. Its reputation was damaged very badly. Those players that are playing there now were hurt by what Reggie Bush did years ago. So I think you can't say that there's a major difference here. In terms of Florida, it's not a dirty program. It's a stained program. It's a troubled program. They have character issues over and over again, but that's endemic of the entire NCAA. If you look at major programs, Gene and I went to Tennessee. Tennessee's had arrests, problems. You talk about schools throughout the country. I think that NCAA rules and regulations have got to be coming down stronger on the players who get into trouble. Urban Meyer's got to dismiss players. He's got to show he's not going to put up with this. And you got to look at the other side. He is graduating a lot of his players, and they are on all the academics.
It gets back to what Andea said. Would you like to see the NCAA take these arrests more seriously than maybe some recruiting violations, Plashe?
Yeah, absolutely, because this is a direct reflection on the coach. You know that if he was tougher on these kids on the field in a program, this wouldn't happen off the field.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see the NCAA be tougher, and I think they've said that recently, that they are going to take these things a lot tougher, but it still doesn't make Florida a dirty program.
All right, there's our horn right there. We're taking a break.